you have to have something more than just one particle in the entire universe for time to happen. And then you have to have it move in relation to that other thing. That's the only way that we know that something has happened. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, but I think that that lends credence to the idea that there must have been an infinite regress, because if you need change for time, and change needs, and creation obviously is a change, right? How do you create then without change? Because if there's not time, there's not change, but you're saying creation happened. So that just seems to me like a contradiction almost.
See, so what you say as a contradiction is something that we really are reaching the limit to the boundaries with both of these things of our human understanding. I mean, I think that when you get to infinite regress versus, time starting, there's a pre-time and a post-time. That really does, we're getting to the limits of our own human understanding in both cases. I would say that there is, like I said, how do you solve the problem of if time is infinite, we would have never gotten to this present moment.
Yeah,
You,
so hold on real quick. First, I actually do want to go there. Like, I'm happy to talk about that too. But I want to first thing, I think there is some working through this that we can do with our human understanding, just using logic, right? Like, this is
sure.
how I would put it in like a syllogism, right? Change requires time. Before time was created, there was no time. Therefore, if time was created, then a change occurred when no change was possible. Change cannot occur when no change is possible. Therefore, time cannot have been created. I think this is a way to
Well,
logically
instead
to
of
do it.
saying that no change is possible before time is created, it also would be just as valid to say that time was created by something that had the power to create time. This is where we go to the sufficient cause. You have to have a
No,
reason.
I don't think so, because you're using created there, right? And created implies time. There has to be a before and an after state for creation.
So, so there can be a T0 that's pre-time, or just there's a timeless state, and then there
So
is the time beginning, and then you have t equals zero, and you can go from there. T can go from zero to infinity. So we can have an infinite universe, but this infinite universe has to have a t equals zero, because otherwise we're not ever getting to the present moment. If time is infinite, again, how do we get to this present moment if there's an infinite number of steps behind us?
yeah, so I just think one, there's just a bullet that needs bitten there, right? And it's one, God either created time at some point in which creation happened, which is a change, and change happened when there was no change possible, or God has eternally, like God is eternally willed time, right? He's eternally created time or whatever, which just means that time is eternal anyway. So the problem that you're trying to posit on me would exist for you too, because you're also just saying time has eternally existed. But my answer to the question of how we would end up here is, well, there's finite space, there's finite time between points in this 4D block of space time, which is infinite.
Okay, so say the first part again about something being finite. What's finite?
The points, like, think of it like a chain, right? The points between chains are finite, right? So from the bus leaving T0 or T1 or whatever to T10, there's a finite time between there, but the chain stretches infinitely both ways.
I mean, I guess you can contort things to view it that way, but the problem is you have every moment we live in is a now, and then the next second is another now, and the next second is another now. So if we look at that to the past going the other way, uh, you would have again an infinite number of those present moments of now. And if there's no starting point, there is no finite time to get to us. It would just never get to us. So has to time has to be something that's had a t equals zero. There's a difference between eternal and infinite. You can have something eternal always existed outside of time, but infinite is something that goes from zero and they can keep going forever
Yeah,
in one direction.
yeah, I disagree. What you seem to be putting forward would be the A theory of time, right? I think that the B theory of time holds truer. I think at least with like special relativity, relativity of simultaneity seems to, at least in terms of like parsimony, B theory seems to fit more exact with with this than A theory, where it's more as like, rather than there being a now, right, a privileged now, every time exists simultaneously and they exist just in relation to each other, like on a block. And this is, again, like we have things like the Schrodinger equation and quantum physics, right? And with the Hamiltonian, you can define that for all moments in time, and the Schrodinger equation holds. So this seems to add credence to the idea that time can stretch infinitely both ways.
Interesting. So yes, I would say here's where we, have diverged different philosophical paths in the woods. Because I am definitely more convinced by what I see that there cannot be an infinite regress of time.